Dear Madam President and esteemed panel of judges, I hope this message finds you well and resolute. My name is Veronica Dias. I am an artist and community worker from Dublin, Ireland, and I am gravely concerned about the ongoing situation in Gaza, which appears to be, almost from the very beginning, a war on civilians. I address you regarding the impending South Africa versus Israel matter, the provisional measures hearing of which is scheduled for Thursday the 11th and Friday the 12th of January 2024. While reading South Africa's excellently articulated and evidence-based application, I realise that I have witnessed almost everything that they have presented as evidence happen in real time because of the courage and fortitude of Palestinian journalists and civilians on the ground in Gaza. We have followed their journey to share the appalling atrocities happening daily so that the governments of the world might call for a ceasefire, might intervene to make it stop. However, we have seen little support emerge from the leaders of the free world. We have heard little calls for a ceasefire even. As Palestinian civilians are killed, their children killed, their homes bombed, and even the aid packages have not reached those in need at the rate needed to prevent hunger, to prevent thirst, to prevent the rapid spread of communicable diseases. Instead of our governments taking the necessary strong actions needed, we, ordinary people of the world, have demonstrated in our millions to call for a ceasefire, have written to our elected representatives and found them lacking in this moment of urgent need for the people of Palestine. We have continued to hold space with the terrible daily atrocities acted upon the civilian population of Palestine through our social media platforms in an effort to fix our fellow citizens' eyes on the bombardment of the population of Gaza, so that they might too call on the government to act to stop it. And if that effort is in vain, that at least the Palestinian people might know that they are not entirely alone, that we see them, we acknowledge their suffering, that we want them to live. I grew up in an Ireland at war, in a country partially post-colonial, partially occupied. I learned the history of our own genocide in facts sometimes skewed for the sake of peace, but felt in the essence of my being. The body remembers the famine perpetrated by our coloniser. As I write this, my studio is about 200 metres from a mass grave from An Gorta Moor, when a quarter of our population either starved or were displaced by hunger. It is not unusual in Ireland to live near such a site, and this awareness serves today to keep the memory of these lost lives close to us, to teach us, to learn from, and to make sure that in our lifetime we try, in every way we can, to prevent such massacres happening to any people again. Our history, indeed our contemporary history of the peace process and the Good Friday Agreement, proves that an end to violence in the first instance is the only way to begin, is the only way to start to build towards peace and towards justice. In order to have justice, we must have truth. We must name things and own the pain of that naming and accept the reality of the pain of colonisation, occupation, forced settlements and genocide. We have lived it in Ireland. The people of Gaza are living it now. Still. In the proclamation of independence of the Irish Republic from the Easter Rising 1916, that unfortunately never fully made it into all of our laws, there is a line that we often quote. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally and oblivious of differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past. We talk of cherishing all of the children equally, and although mired by our own socio-political problems, most Irish citizens feel that as a global sentiment, not just our own children, but all of the children. What we are witnessing in Gaza is a war on children, with upwards of 10,000 children killed. There are more children's deaths per day than in any other conflict in contemporary history. How can we not speak out? How can we not name this for what it is? How can we shrink from using the term genocide. Thousands of children have been operated on without anaesthesia. For a child, indeed for an adult, this is tantamount to torture. Many more children now orphaned, cared for by extended family as they continue to try to survive themselves. We have seen the explosions, the bombs on civilians' homes. We know that nearly 2 million people in Gaza are now displaced because of this. We know that in the north there is a danger of hunger spreading, a lack of clean water. We saw jovial images when the electricity was turned back on at night. Who controls the electricity? Not the now displaced population of Gaza, but their occupiers. Those that control their daily destiny as they attempt to survive, attempt to live. We know that psychologists have stated that there is no use for the treatment of post-traumatic stress in Gaza because they are never post, but always present. We have heard statements about the effects of this conflict on children and adults who will survive, and the vast amounts of injured and amputees who will require ongoing medical intervention and treatment for the rest of their lives. The targeting of civilians on this scale is unprecedented. How can we witness this and not conclude that this is a deliberate campaign to destroy a people? There are thousands more human beings trapped under the rubble. Under the rubble. A phrase I will never forget. A people unable to bury their dead, and then worse, if there can be worse, we have witnessed the desecration of the graves of the newly deceased, as well as their older graveyards. Not even the dead in Gaza are safe. We have witnessed the bombing of universities, of places of worship, of ancient monuments of global significance. We have witnessed libraries and archives destroyed, generations of knowledge, of information and culture erased, history removed, vanished forever. We have seen whole neighbourhoods destroyed. We have seen the port of Gaza destroyed and civilians being threatened with shooting if they approach the shore. So much of the civil life of Gaza and its citizens destroyed completely. We have witnessed the deliberate and admitted targeting of journalists, those who have risked their lives, their well-being and perhaps their sanity to document these atrocities. We hear of women undergoing C-sections without anaesthesia and giving birth in tents, a scarcity of female hygiene products which will further add to the risk of illness and disease. We have witnessed the places that the people were told to flee to being bombed, refugee camps now being bombed. We hear the drones reverberating through our phones as we continue to hold space with our Palestinian brothers and sisters at night as they shelter and try to sleep in their nylon tents that barely protect them or keep them warm. There appears no end in sight without the intervention of the global community, no end to the destruction, the death, the desecration of life and indeed death, without the intervention of those placed at this critical moment in the positions of safeguarding justice in this world, in positions such as yours, positions created to safeguard the world and its people from cruelty, injustice and genocide. I write, though I am only one human being in a world of 8 billion, with little hope of being heard by my own government, to add my voice and absolute support to South Africa's case against Israel, to tell you that I have seen, for the most part, what South Africa has evidenced, and to stand on the side of truth, for without truth there can be no justice. Without truth there can be, I fear, no future, not just for Palestine, but for the world as we know it. Sending you all solidarity and strength in your role of adjudicating this intensely urgent situation. Thank you for your service in hearing this case before you now. May your work be rigorous and your deliberations just, and may you have peace within yourselves with the decisions you make. Yours sincerely, Veronica Dias, Dublin, Ireland.